My daughter, as you refused to give me from your basket of bananas, you shall give birth to twin girls. They shall do anything just for a banana. They will grow up and sleep with men because of an ordinary banana. Mark my words, you shall regret this day, and you will look for me. But you won't find me. Once upon a time, in a small village deep in the African jungle, there lived a humble farmer named Emmanuel. Emmanuel was kind and generous, always ready to help anyone in need. He was loved by all the villagers. However, his wife Jovita was very different from him. She was arrogant and selfish, thinking only of herself. One day Jovita was coming back from the market with a large basket of bananas on her head. She walked along the dusty path, eager to get home and rest. As she walked, she met an old woman sitting by the side of the road. The old woman looked tired and hungry. "My daughter," the old woman called out to Jovita, "may I have one of your bananas to regain my strength?" Jovita stopped and looked at the old woman with disdain. She hugged her basket tightly and replied, "I won't give you my banana, you old poor witch. Why are you even here alone? I bet your family must have abandoned you when they found out how evil you are. At your age, you don't even have an ordinary banana. I believe you must be poor because you refuse to work hard in your youthful age, you old woman." The old woman's eyes glinted with ancient power, hurt by Jovita's harsh words. Nevertheless, she raised her staff and said, "Since you refuse to give me a banana, you will give birth to twin girls. They will do anything for a banana. They will grow up and sleep with men for a banana. You will regret this day and will look for me, but you won't find me." With that, the old woman disappeared into the forest, leaving Jovita puzzled but dismissive of her words. Months later, Jovita gave birth to twin girls named Emma and Grace. As the girls grew, it became clear that something was not right. They developed an unusual cravings for bananas. They would do anything for even a single banana, often neglecting their chores and studies in their pursuit of the fruit. As Emma and Grace reached their teenage years, their obsession with bananas only grew stronger. They used their beauty and charm to get bananas from old men in the village. They would sleep with men in exchange for just ordinary bananas. This behavior led to gossip and shame, and the villagers started to talk about them. One day, Emmanuel returned home feeling angry and ashamed. He had consulted the village's wise native doctor about their daughters, Emma and Grace. The native doctor advised Emmanuel to ask Jovita some questions. Finding Jovita at home, Emmanuel's expression was serious. "Jovita," he began firmly, "what is troubling our daughters? What curse has affected our family?" Jovita hesitated, realizing she could no longer hide the truth. With a troubled heart, she confessed about the old woman she had encountered. "Emmanuel," she admitted quietly, "I met an old woman on my way home from the market. She asked for a banana, but I refused her rudely. I even insulted her for her poverty and criticized her age. I am so sorry, my husband, please forgive me for not telling you." Emmanuel listened silently, his heart sinking as he understood the consequences of Jovita's actions. "We must find this old woman," Emmanuel insisted, his voice determined. "We must seek her forgiveness and undo this curse from our daughters." Emmanuel and Jovita were preparing to set out in search of the old woman when a sleek car pulled up to their modest home. Out stepped Chief Ahmed, a wealthy billionaire from the city, accompanied only by his driver. He had come to the village to visit a friend, but was captivated by the beauty of Emma and Grace. "Good day," Chief Ahmed greeted them warmly. "I couldn't help but notice your daughters. They possess a rare beauty and charm that is unmatched. I have come with a proposal. I wish to marry them." Emmanuel and Jovita exchanged surprised glances. They were taken aback by the sudden proposal from the wealthy chief. "Chief Ahmed," Emmanuel began cautiously, "we are honored by your interest in our daughters. However, they are still young, and we have other matters at hand." Jovita, ever protective of her daughters, spoke up. "They are not yet ready for such decisions. We appreciate your kind offer, but we must first resolve a family matter." Chief Ahmed nodded understandingly. "I respect your wishes," he said graciously. "I will wait for your decision. Meanwhile, if there is anything I can do to assist you, please do not hesitate to ask." With that, Chief Ahmed bid them farewell and returned to his car with his driver, leaving Emmanuel and Jovita pondering over his unexpected proposal. Emmanuel turned to Jovita with concern. "Should we consider his proposal?" he asked quietly. Jovita, after a moment of reflection, replied firmly, "Emmanuel, our daughters deserve a prosperous future. Chief Ahmed can provide them with opportunities we cannot. Let us accept his proposal and focus on their happiness." Emmanuel hesitated, torn between his desire to secure a better future for Emma and Grace and his lingering concern about the old woman's curse. "But what about the old woman?" he asked, voicing his worries. Jovita placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "Forget about the old woman," she urged gently. "Our priority now is our daughter's future. Chief Ahmed can offer them a life of comfort and security." Emmanuel nodded reluctantly, knowing that Jovita's words held truth. "Very well," he agreed finally. "Let us accept Chief Ahmed's proposal." Filled with a mix of anticipation and apprehension, Emmanuel and Jovita awaited Chief Ahmed's return. Chief Ahmed returned to Emmanuel and Jovita's home with a generous offer. He paid the traditional bride price and made arrangements for Emma and Grace to accompany him to the city. Excited yet apprehensive, Emmanuel and Jovita bid farewell to their daughters, trusting Chief Ahmed to provide them with a life of comfort and opportunity. In the bustling city, Emma and Grace marveled at the luxury and modernity they had only heard about in stories. Chief Ahmed spared no expense in ensuring their happiness, from lavish shopping trips to exquisite dinners at fine restaurants. Life seemed to be going well until peculiar behavior surfaced again. Emma, despite having bananas at home, began sneaking out to the gatekeeper's quarters late at night to sleep with him. The reason, as baffling as it seemed, was bananas. Grace couldn't comprehend why Emma would prefer to sleep with the gateman for bananas when they had plenty at home. She thought her sister has changed, and she couldn't tell Chief Ahmed, because she was afraid he might send them back to the village. One night, Chief Ahmed caught Emma sneaking out of the gatekeeper's quarters. He was shocked and deeply disappointed. "I can't believe I got married to a woman like you," Chief Ahmed said bitterly. "I thought you were different from the city girls." Emma stood silently, feeling the weight of his words. Chief Ahmed's disappointment was evident as he asked her to leave his house. With tears streaming down her face, Emma packed her belongings and left for the village, where she faced judgment and whispers from the villagers. Chief Ahmed then turned to Grace with a stern expression. "I hope you are not like your sister. You better behave yourself. If not, you will find yourself in the village," he warned. Grace felt ashamed of her sister's actions. She nodded silently, understanding the gravity of Chief Ahmed's warning and the impact of Emma's behavior on their family's reputation. Meanwhile, back in the village, the mockery Emma faced became unbearable. Unable to withstand it any longer, Emma's father decided to search for the old woman and seek forgiveness. After days of searching, they finally found her and begged for her forgiveness. The old woman, moved by their sincerity, forgave them. A week later, Grace came to the village. When she saw her sister, she was overjoyed. Emma confided in Grace, expressing her exhaustion with village life and pleading for her help to return to Chief Ahmed's house. The next day, Grace took Emma back to the city. When Chief Ahmed saw Emma, he was furious. However, Grace pleaded with him on Emma's behalf. After much deliberation, Chief Ahmed agreed to forgive Emma under one condition. Emma could no longer be his address as his wife. He was totally done with the marriage. Emma was heartbroken but accepted Chief Ahmed's decision. She understood the consequences of her actions and vowed to make amends. Chief Ahmed began to lavish attention on Grace, taking her out for shopping trips and buying her expensive things. He even took her on vacations to beautiful places. This special treatment made Emma increasingly jealous of her sister. Watching Grace enjoy the luxuries and attention that she once had, Emma's feelings of resentment grew. She couldn't stand the idea of being overshadowed by Grace and started to look for ways to regain Chief Ahmed's favor. Determined to change her fate, Emma became more desperate in her attempts to snatch Chief Ahmed from Grace, even if it meant taking her sister's life. One day, when Chief Ahmed traveled on a business trip, Emma decided it was the perfect time to strike. She came up with a plan and approached Grace. "Grace," Emma said, looking nervous, "I've met a man online, and we're supposed to meet today. I'm scared to go alone since it's our first time meeting. Can you come with me?" Grace, always wanting to protect her sister, agreed immediately. "Of course, Emma. I'll come with you." As Grace was about to inform Chief Ahmed that they were going out, Emma quickly stopped her. "No, don't tell him," Emma insisted. "We won't be long, and I don't want him to worry." Grace, trusting Emma, agreed not to tell Chief Ahmed. They got into Emma's car and started driving. Grace felt a bit uneasy, but believed she was helping her sister. While driving, Emma kept talking to Grace to keep her calm. She assured her that everything would be fine and that they were just going to a nearby place. Grace, innocent and trusting, had no idea that Emma had other plans in mind. Emma drove to a quiet and secluded area, far from where they usually went. Grace started to feel more nervous and questioned Emma. "Where exactly are we meeting this man?" Emma smiled, trying to hide her true intentions. "Just a bit further. Trust me, Grace." As they reached the secluded spot, Emma turned off the car and looked at Grace. "Let's wait here," she said. Grace, confused and anxious, looked around. "Are you sure this is the place?" Emma nodded, hiding her real plan. Then two hefty men suddenly emerged from the bushes and grabbed Grace. She screamed for help, desperately looking at her sister. "Emma, help me!" Grace cried, struggling against the men. But it was too late. Emma watched coldly as the men took Grace away. She had secretly ordered them to kill Grace, hoping to eliminate her sister and reclaim Chief Ahmed's attention. Unknown to Emma, one of the men recognized Grace. She had helped him before when he was in trouble. Remembering her kindness, he couldn't bring himself to harm her. As they dragged Grace further into the woods, the man whispered to her, "Don't scream if you really want me to help you." Grace, terrified but relieved, nodded and stayed silent. The men led her deeper into the forest, away from Emma's sight. When they reached a small hut hidden in the forest, where a young, handsome hunter lived, the kind man spoke again. "This is Grace," the man said to the hunter. "She needs your help. Keep her safe." The hunter, surprised but understanding the urgency, nodded. The kind man turned to Grace and said, "Listen carefully. Don't call anyone, not your parents, not Chief Ahmed, not even the police. Emma has connections with some top police officers. If you call them, they might harm you. If you call Chief Ahmed or your parents, they will still involve the police, and that would implicate me. I'm already processing my visa to leave the country and never come back. After I've traveled, you can go back home safely. Until then, don't tell anyone." Grace, though scared, understood the gravity of the situation. She agreed to keep silent and thanked the man for his help. As the man left, the hunter offered Grace food and water, trying to make her comfortable. Though still shaken, Grace felt a sense of security in the hunter's presence. Back home, Emma was eagerly waiting for the men's call. Suddenly, her phone rang. One of the men told her that they had successfully carried out her order. Emma was so happy that she even doubled their payment for a job well done. Meanwhile, Chief Ahmed was worried because he had tried to call Grace, but her phone wasn't connecting. Concerned, he immediately flew home. When he arrived, he didn't see Grace anywhere. Instead, he found Emma. "Where is Grace?" Chief Ahmed asked. Anxiety clear in his voice. Emma, prepared for this moment, lied smoothly. "Grace ran away with one of her boyfriends," she said. Chief Ahmed didn't believe her. The story seemed too convenient, and his gut told him something was wrong. Determined to find Grace, he called the police and declared her missing. The police, however, were not helpful. Emma was the girlfriend of one of the top officers, and they delayed the case, not even bothering to carry out a proper investigation. Instead, they lied to Chief Ahmed, telling him they were already working on it. Days turned into weeks, and Chief Ahmed grew more frantic. He couldn't understand why Grace would leave without a word, and Emma's story didn't sit right with him. He constantly pressed the police for updates, but they assured him, falsely, that they were making progress. Back in the forest, the young hunter, whose name was John, asked Grace how she found herself in such a situation. Grace took a deep breath and began to narrate everything to him. She explained how Emma had become increasingly jealous of her, leading to the orchestrated abduction. As Grace spoke, John listened attentively, his expression shifting from concern to disbelief. He couldn't fathom how a sister could plot to harm her own blood sibling just because of a man. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this," John said sympathetically, shaking his head in disbelief. "Emma's actions are unforgivable. You deserve so much better." Grace nodded, grateful for John's understanding and support. She had been carrying the weight of Emma's betrayal alone, and being able to confide in John brought her a sense of relief. "I never imagined Emma could do something like this," Grace confessed, tears welling up in her eyes. "I trusted her, and she used that against me." John placed a comforting hand on Grace's shoulder. "You're safe now," he reassured her. "I promise to protect you until we can figure out the best way to get you home safely." Back in the city, Emma grew increasingly desperate to regain Chief Ahmed's attention, but he remained steadfast in his rejection of her advances. "What's wrong with you, Chief? Why are you doing this?" Emma confronted him one day, frustration and anger evident in her voice. "What does Grace have that I don't?" Chief Ahmed sighed deeply before responding, "Emma, Grace possesses something you don't. She has dignity. She carries herself with elegance and intelligence." Emma was furious when Chief Ahmed compared her unfavorably to Grace. She couldn't bear feeling less important than her sister in his eyes. Determined to win back his affection no matter what, Emma decided to take drastic actions. She sought out a dubious prophet who claimed to have powerful charms that could change Chief Ahmed's feelings. Despite her doubts, Emma was desperate enough to try anything. She followed the prophet's instructions carefully, hoping desperately that Chief Ahmed would start to see her differently. Days passed into weeks, but Emma's efforts were in vain. Chief Ahmed remained firm in his decision, unmoved by the charms or any other tricks Emma tried. Emma, refusing to give up, took a different approach. Whenever she felt the need for male attention, she began to have affairs with security men in the estate where she lived. When Chief Ahmed found out about Emma's ongoing affairs with security men in the estate, he was deeply surprised and disappointed. He had hoped that Emma had changed her ways, but her actions proved otherwise. Filled with a mix of frustration and concern, Chief Ahmed confronted Emma directly about her behavior. "Emma, I can't believe you would continue to behave this way," Chief Ahmed said sternly, his disappointment evident in his voice. "I thought you were making an effort to change, but it seems I was mistaken." Emma, caught off guard by Chief Ahmed's directness, struggled to respond. "I am so sorry, Chief, it's the devil's handwork. I promise it won't happen again." "You had better keep to your promise," Chief Ahmed said angrily. "If you continue down this path, I will have no other option but to ask you to leave my house. I cannot tolerate this behavior any longer." Back in the forest, Grace began to fall in love with John. He was so kind and attentive to her, showing her a side of life she had never known. John taught Grace how to hunt animals and survive in the wild. They spent their days together, learning and growing closer. One day, Grace discovered she was pregnant. Overwhelmed with joy, she shared the news with John, who was equally excited. They celebrated the prospect of bringing a new life into the world, their bond growing even stronger. However, as the weeks passed, Grace became increasingly anxious about their situation. One evening, as they sat by the fire, she voiced her concerns to John. "John, I can't keep living in the forest," she said, her voice trembling. I can't give birth to our child here. We have no access to a hospital, no prenatal care. What if something goes wrong? John listened quietly, understanding her fears. He tried to reassure her. Grace, don't worry. Our forefathers had no hospitals, yet they managed to give birth to healthy children without modern medicine. Grace shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. That may be true, but I can't take that risk. I want the best for our child, and I need proper medical care to ensure that. John took her hands in his, looking deeply into her eyes. I understand your concerns, Grace. I love you and our unborn child. I promise to do everything I can to keep you both safe. Grace nodded, appreciating his words, but still feeling the weight of uncertainty. She knew she couldn't stay in the forest much longer. Her pregnancy was advancing, and the need for proper medical care was becoming more urgent. A few days later, Grace almost had a miscarriage because she fell down in the bush while trying to catch a rabbit. After getting back to herself, she turned to John, her voice filled with fear and frustration. You see, what if something bad had happened to me? Who would have treated me? Let's leave this forest. I am tired of staying here. I want to see my family. I need to ask Emma why she wanted to kill me. I need answers. John tried to soothe her. Grace, calm down. I told you I can take care of you here. I've been living in this forest for 10 years now, and nothing bad has happened to me. Grace, still unsettled, asked, What about your family, your dad, mum, siblings? How did you end up in this forest? She looked at him curiously, seeking to understand more about the man she loved. John's face darkened, and he hesitated before replying, You don't want to know, Grace. Trust me, it's better if we don't go there. But Grace pressed on, her curiosity getting the better of her. Or are you a ghost? She asked, half joking, half serious. John was shocked. He didn't expect this question from Grace, and he was speechless. He couldn't even reply to her. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths. Should I tell her? John whispered to himself, pacing outside their small hut. His mind was a mess of confusing thoughts. How would she feel if she knew the truth about me? John's past was a very scary one, full of secrets he had kept hidden for years. The forest was his hiding place, a refuge from the things he didn't want to face. But now, with Grace and their unborn child, he knew he couldn't hide forever. Taking a deep breath, John made up his mind. Grace, he began, his voice shaky, there's something I need to tell you. My past, it's a very scary one, and I bet you wouldn't want to know. Grace reached out and took his hand. Dear viewers, if you want to know what happens next, comment, continue, and subscribe. Like, share, and turn on your notifications to get updates whenever we upload the next episode. Thanks for watching, and stay blessed.